'Cause I'm hopeful, yes I am hopeful for today. Take this music and use it, let it take you away. And be hopeful, hopeful, and I'll make a way. I know it ain't easy, but that's okay, just be hopeful. Hello, and today we are doing Premier League predictions for matchday number 32 of the 2021 to 22 season. And that is the song of the weekend, Bars and Melody. You might remember them appearing on Britain's Got Talent one year, and they were a very popular duo. It's mad to look back and think that was actually so long ago, and now they're all grown up. But that was an absolute tune that they came up with called, as you would probably guess, Hopeful. And I'm hopeful that Watford can stay up this season, but really it's going to be an uphill battle. And I think if we're really realistic about it, if we're just at peace with what our fate is likely to be, then our mental health will suffer a lot less. And I think if we, as Watford fans, set ourselves up for the possible future, then at least we don't have the hope and then get that basically pooed on. So we need to, on the one hand, think, yeah, this is not the season for us. It's very unfortunate. A lot of things have gone wrong, but we kind of have to take the fact that at least we're in the Premier League. You know, that is an achievement in itself for a small team like Watford. But then, on the other hand, you've got to think, well, you can't give up the fight completely, right? We've still got games left. We've still got 7 matches to end the season. Or at least, 7 weeks of matches. Watford have got still huge games going up against Leeds, Everton, and they've got 8 matches left to save their skin. But the problem is that Everton and Burnley are playing right now, and Everton are winning, which is exactly what we don't want to see at half-time. 2 from Richarlison, jammy penalties, and the second one as well. Like, honestly, it's a penalty, right, from Aaron Lennon, but it was not long ago since that Burnley-Watford game. The same thing happens. A penalty is clear, and they think, oh, we'll just not look at it for Watford. But for Everton, yeah, we'll look at it and we'll give it. It was a handball. It was a foul. Those two things should not be separate. But yet, still, that club bias against us can't stop. I don't know why we even bother sometimes. But no, in all seriousness, we need to take care of our own fate. And that starts with winning against Leeds. Simply no other solution. If we lose against Leeds, I think, other than mathematically, we're relegated. If we draw against Leeds, I think there's probably about a 3% chance of survival. And then if we win against Leeds, that puts us on the road to where we need to get to, which is winning every single remaining home game. Now, I know what you're going to say. Number one, what club is going to do that when it's so much pressure? And number two, Watford especially have only won at home twice all season. Still haven't under Roy Hodgson. We haven't even got a point at home under Roy Hodgson yet. And yet we have to do that in all our remaining home games. Now, you would say the home games are favourable, right? But we've been awful against the easy teams at home. The wins we've got have been unexpected. Villa and Manchester United. So we honestly cannot seem to get up for these winnable games. And as we saw against Liverpool, really good performance, but that kind of thing doesn't carry through into the 6-pointers because the players seem to love getting up for the big teams because they think, oh, if I don't get touch tight to Mo Salah, he's going to rip me and he's going to end my career like Danny Rose did. Got absolutely destroyed in the reverse fixture. And that does show where we've come under Hodgson, right? Massive improvement in performance. But the issue is that home form. And I don't know, it's not one of those things you can just drag it into your home matches from the away performances. That's not as easy as that. I'm just looking at the penalty incident for the first Everton penalty. So it's Gordon, and it was Westwood coming across. I mean, all right, his hand's on the back of him, but he makes a meal of it, Anthony Gordon. So I think it is a penalty, but you've seen them not given. That's all I'm going to say. Richarlison steps up, sends Pope the wrong way. It's a good penalty, fair enough. But
the second one, like, I think it might be a penalty again, but it's just frustrating when you see a clear penalty in the game against Burnley at Turf Moor and that's not given, and this is pretty much a clear penalty. I mean, you see what Lennon's trying to do. He's trying to win the ball. There is a small touch in terms of he makes contact, but does the contact necessitate Mykolenko to go down? I think it does, but it's one of those things. Like, you've seen them not given. I can't remember which game it was now. There was a game quite early on in the season where something like that happened, where a Watford player was in on goal, and a challenge came in. It might have been the Arsenal game. That's just a guess, but I can't say either way. But a challenge came in from a defender. They completely took the ball, but then also like kind of came from behind, which is what Mykolenko just did. Kind of almost taken his foot with him, and it's almost like if there's a reaction to it, if all the fans around are like celebrating and saying yeah, then it's almost like that will convince the ref that there was enough of the ball that was won. But obviously, because it was, no one there was to fight the corner of Aaron Lennon. I say no one there to fight the corner. You've got the whole stadium, but it's different if the challenge is made on a home player than if the challenge is made by the home player. Because if it's made on the home player, you're going to want to protect that home player and say, oh no, that he should be given a free kick, and then the referee might get convinced. So I know I'm waffling a little bit here because I need to get into my Premier League predictions. That's what this video is all about. But I just needed to make the point, really, that we haven't got consistency from VAR this season, right? The other thing I will say about that Liverpool game, it was the right decision to give the penalty, but how many times this season have we seen a corner whipped in and there's been grappling, there's been pulling down, and yet VAR does not pick up on it? And I'm not saying, well, I say what you will, but it's convenient, isn't it, that in the game that we have, they pick up on it. But just generally, that is not applied consistently enough. How many times have teams got away with that? You likes of Burnley, right? Because they mark so aggressively. You likes of, I remember early in the season, I think it was the game at the Vic. Harry Maguire, he's a sort of defender that loves to climb over people, and he just gets away with it week in, week out. So you cannot say, oh, we've now brought in a new rule where any contact in the penalty box means a penalty, and you say that at the start of the season. Well, if you're not going to actually stick to it, then what's the point? And if you're not going to give consistent decisions like that handball in the Everton-Man City game and say, oh yeah, so a clear handball is not actually given, right? So if you move your hand into the direction of the ball, it's actually not a penalty, because there's been just two, off the top of my head that I can think of where they have been clear, but clearly not enough to change the decision because they're just too scared to go against the referee. So you've got Rodri against Everton, and you've got Lennon against Watford. And that's just two off the top of my head. I could go back and think of way more. So even if, these are the best qualified referees in the best league in England. So these should not be hiding behind VAR and saying, oh, well, I couldn't see it. I was miles away. And then VAR, if it didn't deal with it, it's not my fault. The referee has to say, if the referee doesn't see it properly, they've got to talk to VAR, whether VAR want to look at it or not. They've got to talk with them and say, oh, just can I just check? Have I missed anything? And then VAR think, oh, yeah, actually, we should check that. And then they see something, they deal with it. Not, oh, VAR chooses and doesn't choose what to see. And if the referee fails to see it and doesn't get told by the VAR that he failed to see it, the VAR can just ignore it. No, the referee has to take responsibility and talk to the VAR and say, that was not a great angle, don't trust my decision. Like, that's got to be done. So, yeah, bit of a rant there, but we're going to get into my Premier League predictions now. So, yeah, that was Bars and Melody with Hopeful. Hopefully, Burnley can turn it around, or at least, the game needs to be a draw, really, for Watford. That would be the best result. But if anyone wins, please, Burnley, not Everton. Although it's only one goal for in this game as it stands for what we need to be the result. So Wout Weghorst, bullet header, 2-2. We'll take that for Watford in the table. But yeah, let's move on to match week 32 then. Now, in an ideal world, I would talk you through what my kind of points were from last week and what the predictions league's looking like. Honestly, the predictions league gone out the window a few weeks back, and I'm not really worth, it's not really worth taking it out the window again, if that makes sense. Bringing it into the house. But we will just quickly talk about last week. So there were a nice return to normality with another 10 fixtures this week. Obviously, 11th one is being played tonight. But we did get ourselves a correct score, so we will take it very much. In match week 31, we got a correct score between West Ham and Everton. Called that one 2-1, bang on the money. Thank you very much. We also got correct results with a 1-0 Wolves win, is what we predicted. It was 2-1, so correct goal difference there. Spurs 3, Newcastle 1. It was 5-1 in the end, but I had a feeling Spurs would concede. So correct result there. Also, Liverpool, I correctly predicted a win there. I think that was just always too much of an ask, but you wouldn't have known it was going to be 2-0 based on the performance. I think that the second goal really did, flatter Liverpool. They weren't spectacular, but ultimately they've got that quality when it matters. They're clinical when they get chances, and unfortunately we're just not clinical. That's our problem, but at least the effort is there. At least, we were actually not just willing to sit back and just basically bench, as, what's the word? Park the bus at Anfield. We were actually, really looking threatening on the attack, on the counter-attack. That's how we play. That's all we can do with, how we've played, earlier in the season. We've kind of forfeited the right to change up our style, and it's got to be on the counter. So, look, I'm really pleased with that performance, and we just now need to be clinical. And if we show the same kind of passion that we've shown in the game against Southampton and the game against Liverpool, they should take optimism from that. They should be in a positive frame of mind ahead of these home games, and the Rookery's just got to be rocking. It's got to be absolutely rocking, bouncing as much as it physically can be, despite this really poor season. This is our home, Vicarage Road. It's where we're comfortable. We should make it more difficult for teams travelling to Vicarage Road. We shouldn't make it their home. We shouldn't just let them sit back and relax and dominate us like Brighton did. I know that we're going to play negative football. As I say, we've forfeited the right to play any other way. But at the same time, there's playing negative, and there's also giving the opposition just all the time in the world. And we simply cannot do that if we do want to get out of this relegation zone. So we'll start with that game, actually, because it's so huge. At Vicarage Road, it is at Saturday's game. It's the Whites against the Hornets. And look, in the reverse fixture, we were blooming awful. And when I say awful, I mean it. That was just a dreadful performance. And a lot of people were complaining about that sacking of Xisco Munoz. This is how I put it, right? That Leeds game was a clear demonstration of where we were going in terms of our performances. They were getting worse and worse. And people will say, oh, well, Watford, they should expect nothing less than 14th. But the trend of performances was going to show that we were going to get massively more points lost in the upcoming games based on the trend of performances. And it was just that we were just not turning up. It was as simple as that. We were honestly so absent from games. It was worrying. And in the games you'd expect us to be competitive. Leeds, only promoted, last season. You've got Norwich. We were awful at home against them. Awful against Wolves, awful against Brighton, awful against Wolves in the other game at Vicarage Road, and awful against Newcastle at home. So, look, really, there is not much room to hide. This has to be a win, but we need to improve from the performance at Annan Road. I remember that day, it was a rainy afternoon, and it was just a sodden, unpleasant game for Watford. And look, we just didn't play well enough. We had one chance, I think, and we put the ball in the back of the net, but it was very harshly ruled out for a foul on Meslier when, look, if anything, it was a foul from Meslier on Cabaselli. He goes for it, it comes off him, Meslier makes a mistake, and he doesn't catch the ball, and yet goalies are always protected by referees in that situation. So, look, we honestly were awful, and I remember Ozan Tufan, who's obviously left the club now, had a shot, he blazed over, but it was a good opportunity. I think in the second half, Leeds, from close range hit the crossbar, and Foster was off his line. It was all a mess. It was all an absolute mess, that game. And really, we didn't have enough opportunities other than that chance for Cabaselli, and also quite fairly halfway through the second half, I think Dennis had a chance that he kind of just couldn't control. So we really need to do something here, and Ismail Assar has to be that man to light that switch, light that fuse, because it was brilliant to have him back last week against Liverpool after being out and with action with Senegal. Obviously, they got through the World Cup qualifier, so he's got to be our main man. It's as simple as that. And I feel like Leeds defensively have been a pretty awful team. I know that they're momentum-wise looking better than they were under Marcelo Bielsa with Jesse Marsch. He took a while to get kind of going, but then after that game against Norwich, that you'd expect them to win despite the change in management. That win up at Wolves was just huge for them, and it was such a gutting blow. I remember just watching that thinking, cheers Leeds, you just ruined my weekend. Like, thinking 2-0 up, you've got this Wolves, it should be an easy win. Take away any spirit from Leeds. Jimenez gets sent off. Leeds absolutely shock the world and score like 2 goals in 3 minutes. And oh my gosh, what was Jose Sarr doing? I mean, it was dreadful. I mean, the first goal, like, honestly, it's just, you think it just beggars belief. Like, it's like, come on. How many times could they have cleared that away? A lot. And eventually Harrison follows it in. And then, oh my gosh, that second goal. What was Jose Sarr doing? Don't come out. What are you doing coming out? And the clearance attempt from Saiss was just like, come on, he just swung at it. Not even tried. It's so aimless. And then it spins up and he can't be bothered to get there. And then in comes Rodrigo to tap it in. Well, tap it is kind of putting it lightly. He really toe punted it in with power. And Conor Cody on the line was powerless to it. So that was awful. And at 2-2, I remember thinking, like, right, Wolves, you're really testing my patience here. Just don't lose this now. At least get a point. If not, sort this game out. Wake yourself up, basically. And what did Wolves do? They completely went into their shell and they hit the self-destruct button. And honestly, Luke Ayling, like, come on, of all people, Luke Ayling. So yeah, it was not good. But yeah, really Leeds, they have been playing better football. However, they didn't look great against Southampton. I think Southampton were decent. They could have won that game if it weren't for some good saves from Meslier, denying Che Adams. And you look at the goal for Leeds, it wasn't brilliant. It was a well brought in cross. Rafinha did well to keep it in, but I don't know what Fraser Forster was doing. Just kind of palms it into the air and still in the danger zone, and then it's just kind of a tap in really for Harrison, and Forster's kind of pedaling back and he can't make the ground. So I think Leeds will be confident. They'll be way more confident, of course. They have got a better home record. They have just been a better team this season, and they have leaked goals, but at least they have scored them, right? Under Hodgson, we've seemed to sometimes, not always, because recently we've played quite well, but sometimes we've improved defensively, but that's come at the cost of our attack. And that is where we need to kind of change things today in this game. If we go there on Saturday and just basically set up in a really defensive format, we're down. It's as simple as that. We have to attack this Leeds team to an extent within our capabilities and within our shape that we always play, that 4-3-3. But as we saw against Liverpool, it was actually quite attacking, just not clinical enough. So I'm glad about the defence. We have conceded more than 2, on many occasions at Anfield. So there are incremental improvements, but it's a must-win game. It really is. It's just so huge. So what am I predicting for this one? I'm going for a Watford win, as you do, because you've got to be confident. I mean, confident is putting it quite... Well, I don't know. I can never decide, basically. I'm like, well, yeah, I'd love to say Watford win because I don't want to be depressed. But at the same time, I'm trying to get these points in the predictions. So, yeah, maybe I'm just I'm unsure. But I think one man who's going to be on the score sheet is, who I mentioned before, Ismail Assar. He is the man to step up, I think. And really, we need a lot of players to step up for this kind of match. But yeah, I don't know. It's a tough one. It's a tough one to guess. But I'll say a Watford narrow win. Watford 2, Leeds United 1. First goal, Ismail Assar. That's what he does. He gets in behind and rips defences. Hopefully, he'll do to what he did to, in the start of the season, Matt Targett does to also Junior Firpo, if he's playing. I'm not sure. And then the second goal in the game will be Leeds, and it will be Rafinha, who is just their dangerous player, really, isn't he? I think Bamford's probably still out injured, but who knows? And then Watford get their winner. Sarr scores in the second... No, not the second. I was going to say the second, but that's way too early. The 53rd minute. I think it'll be a cagey first half. Then Watford come out guns blazing. 53rd minute goal, actually, from Ismail Assar. Then Rafinha scores on 77 minutes, and it will be a nervous final 15. But then, step it up to be the hero. You know, it is Dennis, the Menace. 85th minute goal, and he celebrates in front of the Anne Swanson family stand with that iconic celebration that he does. He did it at Villa. Oh yeah, baby. That would be lovely, but let's see. Now, let's move on to the game between Burnley. Oh no, that was last week. What am I even on about? I need to look at the fixtures. It would help if I got the fixtures up, wouldn't it? Deary, deary me. By the way, as well, whilst I get the fixtures up, the theme of the week this week, I can reveal, is Glastonbury. And I say that because it's a festival of football, right? It's a big kind of round of fixtures for the run-in, and it's a festival of football. So, not just a festival of football this week, but a festival of music. So, what are your best Glastonbury tunes? Well, you got a bit of Stormzy, you know, he's always good at Glastonbury. You've got, who else is there? Coldplay, they all often do well at Glastonbury. You know, you got a lot of great Glastonbury moments. And I know it's not Glastonbury, or maybe it was, but I always remember that amazing moment for the PSG fan starting to sing Thiago Silva with Dave. That was so cool. So if you haven't watched that, watch that again. Will I predict Thiago Silva to score this week? Well, we'll see. But no, in terms of this week, we're going to move on from that Watford game and talk about the Friday night kickoff, because there is an early game this week, so that's why we're getting it out tonight. Newcastle Wolves at the St James's Park Stadium. Newcastle come into this off the back of a very disappointing defeat, to say the least, against Spurs. They were awful, absolutely awful, cut open by that Son and Kane partnership, and they really have been conceding goals recently, and that is a real worrying trend. I think Newcastle are safe, but you know, they don't want to make it too nervy, so they'll want to get something here against a Wolves side who, honestly, I just never know what Wolves team to trust. They, from one week, look awful, and you know, last week looked fantastic. Really good performance. Johnny again at it, and Villa, admittedly, their own downfall with the own goal, but great strike from Johnny. Successive home games he's scored in now, and you know, he's actually scored in the past, I think, against Newcastle, Johnny. So this could be an interesting game. I think Newcastle will get a point from it, though. With the home support, you know, they want to grind out a few more points to make sure they're mathematically safe, if they're not safe in every other aspect of it. So Newcastle United 1, Wolverhampton Wanderers 1. I don't see this being a massively entertaining game, but I could be wrong. Wolves to score first, and they will score through a little bit of Connor Cody. He does sometimes pop up, and the equaliser for the Magpies, I'm going to go for it. It is Alan Sant-Maximan. Oh yeah, baby. Moving on to Saturday's games. Everton, Manchester United. Now, this is always a nice game in terms of history and recent good games between the Red Devils and the Toffees. At Goodison Park, obviously, it depends on what happens in this game. Still half an hour to go. Still 2-1. Oh, come on, Burnley. Just get a point from it. That's all I want. I think Everton, though, will struggle against Manchester United. They have in the past. Bruno Fernandes loves scoring at Goodison Park as well. I've got a feeling he's going to get on the score sheet. But Everton, actually, I think will get a point from this. I just feel like, you know, in the position they're in, they're fighting for every game. You know, they've looked quite decent tonight. I mean, admittedly, it's Burnley, but, you know, we do want Watford to get more points and obviously Everton to drop more. But United is just so unreliable, and I just have this sinking feeling that United could drop 2 points. So say Everton 2, Manchester United 2. Opening goal for the Toffees, though, will be a strike from Seamus Coleman. Then United hit back through Fernandes, and then United go ahead and score a nice little strike, this time through Jadon Sancho. And then Everton get a crucial point. Will it be enough, though, to keep their heads above water? Well, it's a strike not from Richarlison this time, but his strike partner, Calvert-Lewin. Now, Everton are in a much more precarious position than their relegation rivals that are Brentford, right? Brentford have done quite well recently, and what a win it was at Stamford Bridge. So we'll predict that one next. Christian Eriksen, you love to see it. What a moment for the lad. You just love it. By the way, there's been a goal. Oh my gosh, yes, Burnley. Come on, Burnley. And there's also been a goal in the Chelsea Real Madrid game in the Champions League. I mean, how people are watching that over this, but this one over that. But it's a big game, the relegation fight. But yeah, oh my gosh, that's a Charlie Taylor assist as well. Oh, I should have got him in FPL. Oh well. Yeah, that's an interesting one. Who's a goal for though? Oh, Weghorst. I thought it was Weghorst, but it's not. He completely misses it. Who is it? It's Jay Rodriguez, man, the other striker. Of course it is. Anyway, moving on. Well, now I say that, maybe Everton won't get a 2-2 draw. But no, I still think I stick by it. Brentford v West Ham, though, on Sunday. Bit interesting, this one. London derby at the Brentford Community Stadium. I think Brentford are quite a good side, And I think West Ham, their eggs are in the Europa League basket, right? So surely are they going to prioritise this game? Bowen was brilliant last week. What a return from injury. Fantastic. But I think Brentford are looking a good side this season. And they'll really take confidence from that last win. So I'll say Brentford 2, West Ham United 0. Clean sheet there for the Bees. And Tony to get the first one. I think he probably will. I mean, whenever I predict him to, he doesn't. And whenever I don't, he does. So maybe it has the reverse effect. And then the second goal for Brentford, we're going to go for it. The man that scored the opening goal of this season, Sergi Canos. Now, is he fit to play or has he got like an injury? No, we'll say Mbuemo, his strike partner instead. Leicester Palace now, moving on to more games on Sunday. This is a big game at the King Power, and I say a big game because Palace are looking for that Europa Conference, and they might actually get it. And who'd have thought at the start of the season we'd say that? Compare Leicester and Palace and say Palace are the more likely team to get the 7th spot. But, they're looking really good, Palace. What a win against Arsenal. Mateta on the score sheet. Zaha loves a penalty. And to be fair, Zaha loves playing against Leicester. So watch out for the Ivory Coast International. But I still feel like Leicester, they are so strong at home, especially. And they want to get, a bit higher up in the table. Yes, they're going to focus on the Conference League, but I mean, it's the Conference League. Is it really that interesting? I just think Leicester, they were looking really good against Brentford in the previous home game. And then as also last week against Manchester United, by far the better team. They should have won that game. I don't think that goal should have been disallowed, to be honest. I think it was a bit soft. Varane went down easily. And, okay, fair enough. You look at it and see Iheanacho has hooked his leg. But, come on. Is that a big intentional... it's intentional, yeah, but is that really a foul to disallow the goal? I'm not sure. I think the game's gone soft, really. But anyway, either way, I think Leicester win this game. Leicester City 3, Palace 1. Then the first goal in the game, we're going to go for it. It's James Maddison. But then Palace equalise through, not Wilfred Zaha. It's going to be a fullback. Oh, yeah. Tyrick Mitchell. And then Leicester's get their other goals through, first of all, the defender, Soyuncu. And then thirdly, it's a Leicester strike from Yuri Tielemans. Now, moving on to the game on Saturday between Southampton and Chelsea. This is at St Mary's, and I feel like Chelsea, they're just a hard team to read, right? Because they're brilliant in the Champions League most of the time. But then also, they were just not great, to say the least, against Brentford. So, do they also have their eggs in another competition and they've kind of surrendered it? But you think Chelsea surely won't just give up. They need to secure third, right? Because Spurs are hot on their heels. So, I don't know. I think Chelsea probably still get third, but they need to be careful. Southampton, though, no pushovers. They've got some good points from big teams this season, like Man City in both fixtures. So Chelsea shouldn't take this one lightly, but I still think they'll win this game. Southampton 0, Chelsea 1. And Reece James with the only goal. Now, moving on, it's a match between Villa and Spurs at Villa Park. And look, this is the kind of game you could, in previous seasons, definitely see Spurs bottling. But with this strike force right now of Son and Kane, and of course Kulusevski, who's doing really well for them at the minute, the January arrival, I think Villa are going to get blown out of the water. They were defensively all over the place against Wolves, and I don't see that stopping. So Villa 0, Spurs 1. And Kulusevski with the only goal. And then it's got a game between Arsenal and Brighton. Now, another huge game in the top 4 race. Arsenal, after that poor performance at Selhurst Park, simply have to make up for it with this game. You'd expect them to beat Brighton, because they have not been good, Brighton, for a long time. But they've done enough to stay up. They haven't scored enough goals. They also, defensively, have been quite stubborn, but last few weeks, not so much. So, Arsenal fancy their chances, but really, they have to be better than they were against Palace. I'll say Arsenal 2, Brighton and Hove Albion 0. And the goals, Ben White with a rare goal for Arsenal against his former side. That would be absolute scenes. And then the second Arsenal goal, we're going to go for Bukayo Saka. All right, let's move on to Norwich City Burnley. A huge game at the bottom. And I can tell you're thinking, what about the big one? It's coming last. Best till last, I say. And Norwich Burnley is huge in the relegation fight. And I was just talking about Burnley Everton. This game is currently 2-2. It's literally exactly as we want it to end. So it's all gone perfectly in terms of what's happened in this game. But at the same time, we don't want Burnley. If there's any game that Burnley win, it's this one, unfortunately. They did draw a 0-0 in the reverse fixture, an absolute stinker of a game. But it's at Norwich. Norwich is so poor, and I just worry this could be the kind of match that gives Burnley confidence. But I've just got to pray that it happens again, that we can see another draw. I mean, how far gone are Norwich? If they're really far gone, then you maybe want a Norwich win, because then it drags Burnley down with us, and Norwich probably still go down. I don't know. I'll say a draw, but I really don't want Burnley to win, really, because we've got to play them soon, and that is a game we need to be beating them in. So if we can get them feeling not very confident up till then, that would be nice. Norwich City, though, 1, Burnley 1. And Weghorst will score for the Clarets. The equaliser for Canaries, though, we're going for it. It is going to be... Oh yeah, it is Josip Drmic. Oh, does he even play these days? I don't know. Feels like he's been out there for 50 years and he's not done anything. All right, we'll change it. The former Burnley man. Another story. Ben Gibson. Ho ho. Okay, now it's the one you've all been waiting for. It's Spurs. It's City against Liverpool. Title decider. I'm telling you right now. Sunday the 10th of April. Is it? Hang on. Is that Easter Sunday? No, surely not. Is that the Sunday after? I think it is. Yeah, no, it's the Sunday after. So don't worry. You don't have to cancel your Easter plans, but cancel any plans you've got on Sunday the 10th of April, right? I want every single person watching this video sat down at 4 o'clock to watch the build-up and the match. Man City Liverpool is huge for the Premier League title race. And for moments like the Aguero moment, right, in the 11-12 season, that was moments in games like these. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be a classic because we don't know how, we often see in the past these amazing attacks and amazing defences cancel each other out. So it probably won't be a 0-0, but it might be. But at the same time, I don't think it will be low on drama, even if it is goalless, right? These two teams are the best in the land by a mile off, and whoever wins this one has the control. Because if Liverpool win it, they're hot on their heels and they've got the momentum. If City win it, they're already in front by 1 point, remember. So then they'll be massively favourites with a nice run of fixtures as well compared to Liverpool. So it is huge who wins this one. It's not everything, but it is huge. So this could be massive. It could be a great game to watch. Two tactical geniuses, Klopp and Guardiola, tussle it out. So just watch it. It's an absolute unmissable game on Sky Sports Premier League 4:30 kickoff. But what are we going for the result? I honestly feel this Liverpool team is unbelievable. They have literally solved every single problem since Brendan Rodgers left. in the 15-16 season, Klopp has come in. He's got a great goalkeeper in Alisson. He's got 2 great centre-backs in Joel Matip and Virgil van Dijk. He's got 2 great fullbacks in Trent Alexander-Arnold and Andrew Robertson. He's got an amazing holding midfielder in Thiago. He's got an amazing front three, Jota/Diaz, with Mane and Salah. And if needed, Firmino loves to go off the bench or, just kind of that hold-up play that Liverpool sometimes want. It's sorted, right? You've got Jota off the bench. You've got Diaz. You've got Origi. He always comes up with late important goals. So that team is just so strong. Now, we all know how strong Man City are. They are Money FC, for instance. But their team is a joke, right? The squad depth is a joke. But in terms of 11, perhaps Liverpool's is better. I don't know. So this is hard to call, but I'm just favouring Liverpool. And also, just for the neutral, we want Liverpool to win this because it really makes it interesting. Because Pep doesn't like making mistakes. And City, I tell you what, they have lost home games this season against Palace, against Tottenham. Liverpool, though, I feel like they deserve a title. The way they won it in 1920, it was amazing. But without fans celebrating that title, that was hard. So I remember this game actually was one of the matches after City ended up losing the title to Liverpool. And City absolutely destroyed them, as if to say, how dare you beat us to the title? We're going to go again next year. And go again next year they did. And won it really at a canter. So I do feel this Liverpool team are good enough to match City. Whether or not they're smart enough is another question. But it depends on how well City play today. On Sunday. So yeah, we're going for a Liverpool win. But it's going to be a thriller. City 2, Liverpool 3. First goal for Liverpool, you know it. It is Sadio Mane. He loves playing Man City. Then the second goal, Kevin De Bruyne. He did it against Chelsea. Sorry, not Chelsea. Oh yeah, it was Chelsea. He did it against Chelsea in the Premier League. He did it against Real Madrid in the Champions League a few seasons back. He did it against someone else, I think, in the big kind of competition. He did it as well last night in the Champions League against Atletico. He turns up for big games. He's a big game player, a bit like Bruno Fernandes, who did it for Portugal. But yeah, he's huge. It's always a Belgian, and KDB is an absolute boss. So King Kev will get the equaliser for Liverpool, City in this game, not Liverpool. He's not scoring an own goal. He's scoring at the right end. So then it will be 1-1, Mane, KDB. You're watching. You're on the edge of your seat. And then City turn it around. It's an amazing comeback. 2-1 up. And they score through another great player in blue. That is, of course, Bernardo Silva, the Portuguese maestro. But then Liverpool with a twist of the tail and an amazing strike from the Reds forward, who really does look like a proper player since he's joined from Wolverhampton Wanderers, Diogo Jota. And then the unthinkable happens. Liverpool snatch a win. Trent Alexander-Arnold free kick, top left corner. Thank you very much, son. That's my prediction. I hope it's as dramatic as that. But either way, it's going to be fun to watch. And thanks for watching my Premier League predictions. I know it's been a bit of a long one, but we had a few things to get off our chest about VAR and Burnley and the Watford relegation fight. And also talking you through the theme of the week. Obviously, a big game this week. And Glastonbury is the theme. And the colour of the week, I'm feeling a bit of purple. I think it's going to be a royal week of Premier League action. I'm saying it now. But thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.